This is a tough sport, guys. This is a tough sport because when things start going bad, it happens in bunches, right? It's the rule of three, right? If one thing bad happens to you, you can pretty much count that three things bad are going to happen. I mean, it's a pessimistic look of an offensive lineman. That's how it goes. So this should be they're going to bring their linebacker and they're going to put him up against Mixon, the running back. When you bring as an offensive lineman, when you're bringing pressure, it's usually you or they're running games. It's usually your favorite time of like 5-step pass protection because the defensive linemen are all now forced to rush in specific lanes. Their lane discipline is not necessarily different than what you're going to get during the rest of the course of the game. But like for example, the player over the left guard is going to rush from the A gap into the B gap. When he rushes into the B gap, he essentially runs out of creativity. He's just running into that lane and doing a bull. So a lot of the moves and all the special subtleties that make these guys great are erased when you start bringing pressure because they get in their mind, I have to get to my gap and I have to occupy my gap, and they stop thinking about actually beating the man. So generally speaking, you think a lot of this stuff is going to be easier, at least from the interior of the offensive line, than it would be otherwise. Now, you look over at Myles Garrett and you see that stance. You can tell that he's trying to go north, south, fast. Same thing, Javion Clowney. They're both in 4-point sprinter stances. Mixon comes up. This is initially a pretty good pocket here. And this is where, as a quarterback, how can you help your offensive line and running back who are doing a good job trying to pick this up? We have a linebacker drop 7 yards. You can go one-on-one here. You don't necessarily have this over the throw down the seam route. Do you want to tuck it and run, or do you want to fight for more time? And right now he decides to fight for more time. Sack, fumble from Garrett. Turnover, Bengals ball. Now, a couple series later, it starts happening fast, guys. A couple series later, we got 58 over on Jonah. He's got that vertical set. He drops his back foot. He's catching. We just call this catching. You're not initiating contact. The defensive end is a complete rhythm into what he wants to do. Attacks the outside arm. You're showing weakness by not having your feet on the ground when you engage in. You have to have a great relationship with the ground when you're punching your opponent as an offensive lineman. He doesn't do that. Therefore, you're not going to get an easier sack, I think. If you're 58, then you got that in that specific play. So now we got 2 sacks. And he's been roughed up a couple times. Now you're going to run the down, around game. Again, you see Myles Garrett's got his outside foot back. You're going to run this down, around game with the linebackers. You're going to go tackle in, linebacker around. And really, Myles Garrett's going to end up making this play. So hopefully Jonah sees this, or 73 Jonah Williams sees this. First step is outside. He goes inside. And now we're catching again. We're always chest on shoulder. We see 67 chest on shoulder, 73 chest on shoulder. We're not punching and extending. We're not keeping them off our bodies. What does that do? That takes away your ability to recover. That lets them put strength on weakness, because now their forward momentum, shoulder pad into your chest instead of shoulder pad into your hands, or you're actually punching and extending away from this person. You don't have that recovery time. You're not blunting their force at all. And really, Myles Garrett puts his shoulder into 73, knocks him off. We have 54 coming around, but the damage is really done because 73 has given Joe Burrow nowhere to go. So now we have 3 sacks, and all of a sudden it's looking like a bad day for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now Joe gets rid of the ball here, but it's like when you start smelling blood, especially when you're 95, you look on you go to the sidelines as a player and you look and they got these Microsoft pads and they've got all what it looks like pre-snap and post-snap of every play. And he's sitting over here, I'm sure, and he's seeing this 1.5 yards or whatever 2-yard split that La'el Collins has given up. And he's probably going, "Oh, well, that's a lot of space considering this guy's a flat setter." I mean, Lyle Collins can't even set deep if he wants to. He's a flat setter. This is how he sets. This is how he's been taught. You can see he's much more upright than everybody else. There's not a great bend there. So there's not going to be a lot of great explosive movement because he's not in a position to do so. He's going to come out and try to jump this guy with a wider set. He's going to give up that inside lane. And inevitably, I mean, that's a bad look. And so right now, Joe Burrow's thinking, I'm going to get murdered here. You got to start looking at the rush. He eludes this somehow, gets rid of this football, but tough situation, tough sport, starts going downhill. Empty look, 3-by-2, 3 to the right. Got a penalty here. And this is what kind of I was talking about. So you got 5 receivers out in the rush, or excuse me, out in running routes. And now this offensive line's doing a commendable job here. I think, first of all, Jadeveon Clowney was offsides. La'el Collins does a good job of warding him off. He's got a ton of time here. And you're trying to make something happen with your feet and trying to buy time. And this is the other part of giving up sacks, though. You hold the ball for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now you're out the pocket. Bad things happen.